Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all of you viewers for today's webinar. So we have the webinar today, which is entitled High Impact Educational Practice for Global Learning. Okay, so again, welcome to all of you viewers who are watching us today. So thank you for your time and participation to our webinar today. And for your information, this webinar today is jointly brought to you by the e-learning unit as well as the industrial linkages and community unit of UiTM Changan Johor campus Pasir Gudang. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we are now live streaming in UiTM Changan Johor official YouTube channel. So let's say that you don't have time to actually be with us the whole time. You can always go back to the channel and watch the webinar today, and of course with the other webinars that we have had before. So stay tuned to the channel and probably subscribe to our channel for more insightful and fruitful webinars such as this, okay, in the future. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to have a webinar on collaborative group global learning. Okay, so before we start with our esteemed speaker, so maybe I can share a bit with you regarding the general information or the things that probably we can think of, or what is it that comes to our mind when it comes to the word global learning itself. So before that, global learning is actually one of the many collaborative groups that we have under CIDL, or Center for Innovative Delivery and Learning Development. Okay, so CG or collaborative group. So among others, we have a lot actually. I think there's more than 10, and global learning is one of it. So if I may share with you guys, some of the other collaborative groups that we have under CIDL would be social media, virtual reality, virtual learning, smart classroom, gamification, Internet of Things, and design thinking, among others. So we have a lot. So today, our focus would be on one of them, which is global learning. Okay, so speaking, as someone who might not know a lot about the technical definition regarding global learning itself, actually gives us some ideas, global and learning. And when it comes to global learning, I would say that hopefully and probably this is going to be a good platform for us to actually give chances and opportunities to bring international experience to all of us here. And of course, having it to be done ODL style, online and open learning nowadays, it makes it actually easier for us. We don't actually have to be literally, going out global, going out to the other countries and to the other parts of the world, experience the global learning itself. We can actually bring the global into the comfort of our own classroom, even maybe our own living room for those of us who are working from home. Okay, so I'm not saying that the pandemic, the COVID-19 is a blessing, but maybe we can say that it is a blessing in disguise, so we can make things easier, make it even more convenient for all of us to have the chances and opportunities to have global learning. Okay, now. And of course, other than that, when it comes to global learning, we are talking beyond just academic matters. Okay, so when we talk about global linkages. Okay, so of course, maybe what we can have in mind as an academician, for example, we are talking about teaching and learning, for example, classroom activities and whatnot. But of course, we are talking beyond that. We can actually talk about industrial linkages that we can have, not only with the companies or the partners in Malaysia, but of course, international. Hence the word global learning. Okay, so, and at the end of the day, we, UiTM, one of our aspirations is to actually provide world-class education. So global learning is seen as a fitting piece of puzzle that will make things work, right? All right. I think that is actually based on probably my understanding and comprehension about what global learning is. Later on, definitely, we will listen from the expert, inshallah, okay, of the global learning itself, okay, which is our speaker today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have mentioned something about global learning, and of course, we want to know about the speaker that we have invited for our webinar session today. So, we have with us today is Mr. Oswald Timothy Edward. I would say that one persona or an individual that is very famous in Pensyarah Johor, not only because of the teaching and learning aspect. We have a lot of other things that is very closely related to who he is. Okay, if I may, let me share a bit with you about our speaker today. So Mr. Oswald Timothy Edward is a senior lecturer from the Faculty of Business and Management, UiTM Changan Johor in campus Segamat. Okay, so with various working experience, for example, from Malaysia British Assurance, Sime Insurance Brokers KL. Okay, he is also a member of CIDL Collaborative Group for Global Learning. So, if for your information, for Global Learning, we have a few members, okay, led by Puan Nadia, Datuk Tan Tawi Jauhari, and we have a few members in all in your ITM system, and Mr. Oswald is one of them. And if I'm not mistaken, the only gentleman in the group, right? Okay, all right. So he is also a life member of Malaysian Invention and Design Society of also known as MINDS. Okay, so if I may also share with you, so Oswald is a multi-level, multiple award winner. Okay, not only for national but also international. And if I may share with you guys some of the awards that was mentioning here. Bestseller author for McGraw-Hill best-selling title in finance, international, 2019. Academy Excellent Award, Best Teaching, UiTM National Level in 2018, and Academy Excellent Award, Best E-Learning for UiTM Johor in the year 2019. Okay, so that is just some of the many awards that I can mention. Okay, so other than that, I can also share with you guys that Mr. Oswald is also award winner for a lot of writing. Okay, and I think if you just Google his name, there will be a lot of good article that will pop out, not only from the mainstream newspaper, but also websites such as Bernama. Okay, all right. With regard to EU 5.0 and e-learning, Mr. Oswald is also a developer for a few massive open online course, or as known as MOOCs. Okay, so some of the subjects are operation of investment banks, risk and insurance, as well as company analysis. And for this year, the latest project by Mr. Oswald is micro-credential modules. One of the many projects recently made available in UiTM, and he's working on introduction to risk management as sole developer. So I would say that those are just the tip of the iceberg from the many, like what I said just now, various achievement that our speaker has achieved throughout his service in UiTM, and I bet there will be many others later on. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I think that's enough for me talking this particular webinar session. So I think our speaker is already ready on the other side. Okay, because now I am doing this live in Pasir Gudang campus, and our speaker is in Segamat campus. But together, by ODL, we are actually bringing, not to say the world, but the campuses together for all of you viewers. Okay, so Oswald, how are you feeling today?
I'm good, thank you, Cik Yam.
Okay, good, cool. So I hope that I have mentioned all the good things about you just now and a bit of the introduction for global learning. Okay, so maybe to start the ball rolling for our webinar session today, maybe Oswald, you can maybe briefly introduce what is actually collaborative group global learning to all of us.
Okay, salam sejahtera and a very good evening to all my friends, to my fellow colleagues from Pasir Gudang and also some in UiTM Segamat. Welcome to this webinar, High Impact Educational Practice, Global Learning. We have been introduced, we have been given some kind of overview on EDU, I mean Education 5.0 at UiTM. I mean, all this while, and I think about recently we have had a session, a webinar session with our own Timbalan Rector Academic, Dr. Ahmad Razi, on EDU or Education 5.0. And some of us, I think, and I believe many of us will, I mean, are anxious and interested to start and to do and to get engaged or um, to be involved in education 5.0 at UITM. But the first question that we always ask is, what will I do? What shall I do? Where will I start? And questions like that. It is easy to say that I know we are in education 5.0, we are heading towards that, and we have all this fantastic plan going towards or moving towards education 5.0. But the very basic thing, I mean, to me, is to touch base with our own initiative to be involved in education 5.0. And let's do it. And let's start doing this education 5.0 with global learning with us. So, uh, what was the question? It is about brief introduction on. Let me just share. Please allow me to share my screen so
Slide.
that I can. Please give me about 1 minute. So, am I sharing?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the screen, it is actually about the website on CIDL Center for Innovative Delivery and Learning Development, which is under the office of um, our Vice Chancellor on academic and internationalization. I'm so sorry, Cik Yam. I think I'm not projecting yet.
I can see the slide.
Okay. All right. So, uh, uh, like what Miss Yam mentioned just now, we have about 17 collaborative group under this ambit or under this umbrella of CIDL, where each and every one of us are actually free to choose, as per our involvement in um, education 5.0. And my little part is here on global learning, and if you click on it, you will be able to see the the initiative of global learning, and we have our fellow here, which is Puan Nadia. And if you scroll down, you will be able to see the the experience, the feedback from the students who have gone through this global learning session. And we have also provided some kind of tips on how to do it by actually sharing with you some of the global learning sessions that we had in our group. We have had one from Australia, from USA, from Spain, from Czech, from Australia, and I mean from UFMBC, and many more. And for your information, as far as UITM Johor is concerned, we have had one global learning session just last week with someone from Australia, organized by Faculty of Business and Management. And we are going to have one this week, which is on Wednesday, which is a global learning session with someone from New York, the States. And as I said just now, we are actually moving. We are moving towards that, and we are moving forward with this global learning agenda in UITM Johor. So don't worry, we will be assisting you on the phases of these global learning. So for example, like what we have here, we have phase one, which is the planning stage of it. Phase two, which is the implementation. That is to have the virtual online with the students and with the collaborators. And of course, we have some modules, I mean, some materials on the feedback and review in order for us to improve our approach in, maybe in semesters to come. And well, this is the team member, or I mean, team members of collaborative group on global learning. And I am, just like Miss Sia mentioned just now, I am the only thorn among the roses. Pretty roses, and I'm the ugly thorn. But, well, my, how to say, my existence here will, I mean, is carrying a very heavy burden on it because I must make sure that Johor, Segamat, and especially Pasir Gudang will be having a global learning session, and if possible, we are targeting about 20 because that is just my expectation lah. 20% of the global learning session will have to come from Johor. So can you do that?
Okay, so just now you said 20. Was that for the year 2021 alone?
Yes,
Okay, I think I would say that it is possible
it is.
with the guidance, okay, and input coming from you.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, Miss Yam, thank you very much for that. Over to you, Miss Yam. Miss Yam, you are muted.
Sorry. Okay, all right, sorry. Okay, anyway, thank you very much for the introduction on the global learning itself. So by now, we have seen a bit of the, shining hope, I would say, okay, on what is it. And I believe by knowing things, we will be able to do things, okay? All right, so just now we talked about the introduction of GL. Now, um, maybe we can maybe I can actually ask you about the relevance or maybe perhaps the origin of the idea of having global learning itself. Mr. Oswald, over to you.
Thank you, Miss Yam. Um, well, you did mention just now that actually it is doable, and I actually strongly believe that we have done this before.
Yeah.
And I mean, all this while we have done this before. It's just that we didn't tune it, we didn't strategize it towards these high impact educational practices as far as the label is concerned. Like I remember last year we have had this a global lecture on the net, where we have had several sessions with our MOU partner from Indonesia, and I think we have about not less than 6 sessions with them. Unfortunately, at that time we were not clear, we were not sure about this high impact educational practice on aspect of global learning. Unfortunately, we didn't get into that numbers of organizers or having that global learning sessions. As you said just now, I totally agree with you that actually we have done this before. It's just that we want to tune it to what CIDL, collaborative group global learning, is all about, with regard to the relevance of it. And thank you for that question. So let me just let me just introduce you. This is actually a copyrighted module, a copyrighted collaborative group called Global Learning, and the writer of this is, of course, none other than our own fellow, Puan Nadia binti Tantawi Jauhari. And just put this up. Well, we believe that education, we believe that learning um, is not confined to the walls of a classroom, especially now in the case of ODL, in the case of MCO, in the case of this pandemic. I may be wrong to say that it is a blessing in disguise, but it is, because we are actually doing something of global with almost zero cost. Okay, um, just imagine if we want to bring our students out for an academic visit or academic trip to as close as Indonesia, for example. We need to have thousands and thousands of um, you know uh, fund to be able to bring out several students out of this country for an academic visit or academic trip outside of Malaysia. So, well, ODL and this pandemic made it easier for us, because why? When we mention about this, like in the case of my experience, when we mention about this to a prospect collaborator outside of Malaysia, they are ever willing to appear online, which is something that is not alien anymore. Appearing online or visiting Malaysia visiting UITM online together with our students. Those days it could be something like, what? I mean, it's how is it going to be? Like having a session online and all that. But now it is very easy. It's super easy because everybody is ever ready to be having this online session, just like a virtual tour, a virtual visit, or virtual academic visit to our country and from our country to another country. So we must stop thinking about global education means going somewhere. So much, okay, so global learning can occur in your own classroom. So these are some of the examples. As you can see, the exotic appearance of our collaborative partners from outside of Malaysia who have who have accepted the invitation of our global learning session with UITM students. So just imagine, just imagine that the number of students that we are bringing out of Malaysia, looking at the perspectives of the from the perspective of these collaborators from outside of Malaysia, and we are enriching the experience of the students. Where will I'll touch about this later on. The experiential learning of the students will be enriched, and they will be able to see different perspective as an added value to their learning experience, from the sharing and from the input that are given by these um, collaborators from outside of Malaysia. So when we map out, we managed to put on our flags here, UITM flags, whereby we have been like virtually traveling to United Kingdom from 2019, yeah, 2020, and just about recently. United States, Serbia, Spain, Poland, Czech, Puerto Rico, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, Cyprus, and Australia is here. We will be having someone from Indonesia later on, and for Maldives sometime. I mean, this is from Johor, sometime in early May. So the 20 new flags could be somewhere here to be contributed by UITM Johor alone. And while its relevance, the global learning, what is the relevance of this global learning? Actually, it started off with um, Malaysian Higher Education Blueprint. We have started earlier, like in 2015. And the main idea of these high impact educational practices was actually by George Kerr in 2008, if I'm mistaken, yeah. And higher education HIPS by Mohi, and of course education 5.0 in UITM. So the first point that I want to touch on HIPS in Malaysian education system is on the holistic and entrepreneur and balance graduates. And touching on this is actually how to say, by looking at this initiative, actually, if we engage in this global learning, we are able to meet some of the requirement of this initiative. So that's why global learning is here to be with us, okay, in order for us to partly achieve the initiative um, stated or outlined in this blueprint. Well, anyway, it is there. I mean, it has been there for quite some time, 2015, and hopefully by 2025 we will be able to contribute, and one fine day our students and ourselves will be able to say that, oh, okay, I have contributed and I had involved in this initiative. The next one would be the definition itself, which is actually um, by George Kerr in 2008, stating, I mean, there are a few, but one of it is, of course, global learning. But if you see the definition of global learning under, under his definition, is actually, I mean, we have to fine tune it to Malaysian Malaysian scenario because of diversity, or because of uh, the spread of the demographic aspect of our students in UITM, known to be the most university with you know widely spread lah throughout Malaysia. So we have to somehow fine tune that definition of global learning towards UITM context. So that's why we look at the Education 5.0 at UITM, and of course, well, if you see here, like number one, learning that goes beyond earning good grades on campus. I believe our Timbaland Rector Academic, Dr. Amar Razi, also did mention about this in his webinar. The next one, the personalization and personalized learning experience is the most and is the main relevance in this global learning initiative that we are advocating now, and design the space to learn and to create, I also I think I remember our TREC academic also mentioned about um, empowering the students, empowering the students to learn and to create that learning space, okay, with them, especially in this ODL. And having said that, okay, we introduce what we call global learning. Okay, so what is that? It is an innovative teaching approach that instills in learning a more extensive understanding and global consciousness on various fields of study where students learn, question, and reflect about the world without physically crossing the geographic border. So this is what I mentioned earlier on about fine-tuning the definition of global learning. It is actually something like this, like I have mentioned earlier on, a way where we will be bringing out our students, from Malaysia, from UITM, and bring them out to do academic visit or academic trip in some other country. All right. I mean that's the scenario of what global learning is in other country. But as far as UITM is concerned, we fine tune it to the current scenario and the requirements, and like the zero cost effective on having this global learning or learning experience even without physically crossing the geographic border. So yeah, so that's my response to your question, Miss Yam.
Okay, so I think that's quite a lot. And I do agree when earlier on you said something about COVID-19 is a blessing in disguise, or maybe just blessing in disguise. I have to agree totally with you, talking about going global without actually having to cross any borders, actually just beyond the four walls of our own classroom. Actually, we can have that particular experience coming to us. Okay, so and I also like it that when you said something about, yes, I do agree that UITM Johor, we have actually done some programs or maybe activities like a series of webinar, which actually involve a lot of partners. The MOU partners, of course, we are talking about international partners there. But then again, the keyword here is to strategize on how we actually do things, not only for the sake of probably doing the programs that we want to do, but also to fit into the concept of global learning itself. Okay, and one last thing that I would like to also comment is on the experiential learning, the virtual tour, virtual learning of things, which is happening probably uh, beyond actually doing academic things in the classroom, but also having the tour in UITM Johor probably as the um, as the as the starting point to actually for actually the members or people from the other parts of the world to get to know Malaysia itself. Okay, so thank you for that particular introduction. So second of all, the global learning itself. So what is it? And maybe some examples of the global learning sessions that you can share with us, Mr. Oswald?
Thank you, Sheikh Yam. Before I go into that, I would like I mean, I'm taking back these slides showing the pillars, the foundation and the pillars of Education 5.0 as presented by our Timbaland Rector Academic just about recently on the 20th of April, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and taking from there to show to you actually where we can chip in, as far as the pillars, the foundation of Education 4.0 that we can meet, uh, for example, here we are talking about a clarity of purpose. So if we are taking this in the context of our subject, for example, so I'm teaching risk management. So I'm introducing this model to my students, and these models, it is just like an index, where they will have to calculate certain things and put in the index, and they will come up with a figure, for example. So what is the purpose, or what is the meaning of this index that they are getting from the model? You know, where and to make that, how to say, to make that meaningful to the students, actually, like Cik Ya mentioned just now, we have to think that it is not only looking at the syllabus itself, memorizing the theory, but to give some kind of meaning to that model, or finding of our syllabus, the syllabus content. So through this global learning, we are bringing someone, someone who is practicing, someone from industry, to give meaningful experience on that part of the model. Just let's say, for example, the one that I am stressing just now. It could be like mathematical concept and all that. How can they use that in the context of, I mean, in real life, in the industry? So we will be bringing someone in industry who will be able to talk about it in practice, and not so much into the theoretical part of it. Because why? In the classroom, we have already covered that, I mean, quite extensively in our classroom. The presence of this collaborative partner will be as a supplementary, just to supplement your teaching, or your input in the class. It will not replace you. And I have to make it clear, and I have been advised to highlight this in this webinar, that it should not replace your teaching. It should not replace your content that you have developed for your um, syllabus, but as a supplementary. So what we can see here, if we are really into making it like clarity of purpose and meaningful learning experience, why don't we invite someone, you know, um, from outside of Malaysia, okay, to enable this meaningful learning, to share this meaningful learning experience with our students, so that we will be able to partly meet this, what we call the personalization aspect of transformative learning environment. So we are bringing them out, just like imagining that we are in Australia, for example, at this moment. And the perspective of that person will, I don't know, but I believe that, I totally believe that, like what I have seen from the feedback of the students, just being present in front of you, even though, just like on screen, but this person is from Australia. The perspective that this person is saying really, touch the core of the students' the students' values or emotional. I mean, they know how to touch or trigger the emotional sensor psychologically on our student, and they got like, so much excited, to learn, to listen more to the story and to the sharing of this person, where which is something in our group, in our team. We believe that um, we should go out from the comfort zone of saying that we are expert in everything, and we are knowledgeable, and we know everything. um Please, I'm so sorry for saying that, but we have to, like, mellow down and try to think that there are many other wonderful things outside there that the students can learn, from. So that's the pillar of Education 5.0 that we are going to touch on in this global learning. So let us fine tune this global learning to the need, so that to the need of the syllabus, because whatever it is, as I mentioned just now, it is supposed to be a supplementary, to the classroom, to your engagement with students. So it has to be tailored to the course syllabus. But don't worry, I will let you know what aspect of the course syllabus that we are going to get these collaborators from outside of Malaysia to touch on. It is not necessary to be the whole syllabus. Okay, it can be to the unit, to the small unit of that bigger syllabus. No, we'll talk about that later. So the experiential learning here, I mean, it is a subtle area that we always take care of, especially when we talk about our delivery, whether we are teaching or not, and all that. It has to be in line with the learning outcome. So whatever it is, my dear friends, if you want to do this global learning, first it has to be tailored to the course syllabus, and it must be related to learning outcome. What kind of learning outcomes are you going to achieve, or what kind of learning outcomes that are designed by the course for us to achieve with our student? Bearing in mind, in our syllabus, I mean, it is not limited to cognitive assessment only, because sometimes we are worried so much about cognitive assessment. I still remember last time when we first introduced a week without walls, and we were so against it, because why? It will it will derail from our syllabus and all that. But we forgot one component of our syllabus, which is affective. The effective assessment of syllabus. It is not only cognitive, but well, those who against the idea of a week without walls and all that, what is happening now? Actually, we are like 1 or 2 years advanced, we were preparing. I mean, UITA were preparing us 1 or 2 years in advance of this ODL by force, and due to this MCO and pandemic. And I'm very thankful with that. I'm very thankful with this idea of having a week without walls, and I have been positive about all these kind of initiatives, thinking that not all assessments are actually tied up to cognitive assessment, and there are some assessment which is um, effective assessment. So how are we going to measure that? How are we going to align our course content towards this kind of effective? There must be some kind of engagement, right? So that's why global learning is here to help us, to meet that course learning outcome. So that's why global learning is the key to making excellence inclusive. So according to a research done in 2018, before we started off with a full-fledged of this global learning, um, that study found out that only about 1,000 plus students, population of UITM, were able to go out and do, how to say, and have academic attachment outside of Malaysia. Like say for example, one semester, um, having one semester outside of Malaysia through, I don't know, maybe collaborative, or through some kind of credit transfer, or student exchange program and all that. And the study found out that only 1,000 plus, or 1,400, I think, plus students were having this opportunity of going out, really going out of UITM and study there. So much so to say that actually 99.93% of our students are not able to do that. And this was in 2018, right? What is happening now? 100% of the students are not able, not even us. What more to say about our students? 100% of our students are not able to go out into some kind of engagement, academic visit, or academic trip outside of Malaysia. So so global learning is actually trying to serve this 99.993% of, I mean, the whole population of UITM students to be having this experience, engagement with someone outside of Malaysia. So So that's why global learning offers authentic and meaningful learning experience. Um, we wish that this global learning will be able to connect and inspires our students. See, when I explain from the very beginning, my explanation is actually always touching the base, and that base is our students, our students. So we cannot be selfish thinking about ourselves. I've been there, I've had travel here, and I've traveled there. But what about our students? What about the students? So the global learning is actually focusing on this connecting or authentic or meaningful learning experience with the students, and we are just the catalyst. We are only the agent to make this a reality and bringing this about. Now, when we talk about connecting them, inspiring them, meaningful learning experience, and all that, I like to go back to what Che Yam mentioned and what my statement was before, talking about all this while we have conducted a similar approach of bringing someone outside to be in UITM and giving all this experiential learning and input from their perspective. Unfortunately, we no, it's not unfortunately. um, if possible, okay, if possible, try to make that session to be as engaging as possible. So that is the main concern here. So if we are bringing someone from outside, let's say we're bringing someone from from Australia and talk to our students, and the setting is like a seminar setting to a group of 100 students, listening to him. I believe you would believe with me that the level of engagement will be very limited, or it could be like almost zero kind of engagement. So much so to say that it may not be the right global learning. It may not be the right global learning. Um, you know. Mold or global learning models that we are advocating here. It could be global lectures, lectures on the net, or it could be collaborative teaching. And it doesn't fit into the mold of global learning, because global learning, as I mentioned just now, it has to be um, uh, engagement with the students has to be present in that session with the collaborators. Bearing in mind, ladies and gentlemen, actually, we started off this in the late 2018, and at that time, the collaborator, our head herself, Puan Nadia, brought in someone from German, brought in someone from the U.S. Embassy of Malaysia, and brought them into UITM. So definitely the engagement were there within that wall, so within that classroom, and they can have that kind of engagement. Unfortunately, in this ODL, in this virtual meeting and all that, it is impossible to have an engagement with 100 students. So that's why this global learning, it will only fit to this model of global learning if engagement happen, and we believe that engagement could perfectly happen if it is done within a smaller group. So this is where I mentioned earlier on, and what Cik Ya mentioned just now. We have done this before, but we have to fine tune it so that it will fit into the concept of global learning. And the intention here is to have a meaningful learning, added something like an added value kind of learning with our students through this global learning session. Okay, can I add some more, Cik Yam? So
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
to go back to your question. So what is global learning? What is global learning? So this global learning is a session. It is a session that we have conducted, or that we are going to conduct with someone from outside of Malaysia. So the keyword here is that the session will have to be with someone outside of Malaysia, so that it can fit into the definition of global. And the learning perspectives is actually through the perspective of that someone from outside of Malaysia. But we have questions asking like, must it be someone who is really like originated from that country? Like, say for example, from Australia? The answer is no. It could be Malaysian. It could be our own alumni who are attached to a company there, who are attached to an organization there, and who have been there for quite some times, and who have who have rich experience of what uh, you know what practice or I mean which is related to the context of your syllabus lah, of the experience in in that country, and they can bring in that perspective, that experience to our students. So it is not necessarily be someone who is like really originated from that particular country. It could be Malaysian, but as long as they are serving there, they are having an enriched experience serving that particular country, so that they can bring that perspective. So sometimes it can be good because, like the one that we had last week, our own alumni, and when he talked about his experience, when he talked about his a perspective, that the students got how to say excited and got motivated because, hey, actually we can do that. See, he is someone just like us, just like you and me, learning in this beloved university, and yet he can be as successful as he is now, out there. So as long so our message here is that as long as the student can get an added value, something outside of the boundary of our class, it could be a good global learning session. Whatever it is, that learning experience and the knowledge of how it can be practiced outside um, or in the industry is the most valuable information available, sharing that we want to have in our learning, I mean, in our global learning session. So it must be a personalized lesson, yeah. So as I said just now, the seminar type where this collaborator or where this expert um, uh, being present in our virtual session, and yet giving this his session to like 100 students, it may not be so personalized, in that case. And second way of looking at personalized lesson is that it must be in line. You must align that to the learning outcome of your syllabus, and the content, the syllabus content, not all, but maybe a specific aspect of it. Um, and please, this is another advice, that advice that I have been, asked to remind you. Please try to avoid the assessment part of it, because it's quite sensitive. It is quite sensitive in the sense that we have rubrics, we have, the quality measurement, quality assurance on the assessment part of it. So don't touch on that. So let's say, um, don't let this collaborator to be the one who is going to assess your student. So try to avoid that. So I mean, you can do as much as, you know um, getting this collaborator to be giving some kind of case study, and that case study is, of course, maybe could be related to the assessment, but in that case study is the case that is happening in that particular country, and how, if we have this scenario in our present moment in our own country, what will we do? So, but the assessment part of it will have to be done by the lecturer based on the academic requirement of your syllabus. But as I said just now, it has to be a supplementary one. Students are given opportunity to listen and engage with guest speakers who are industrial practitioners and global players from all around the world. Uh, Later on, we will be giving you some kind of examples on who the practitioners are, or who the collaborators were in the past, and you may find out that they are, like professors from here, professors from there, with all that affiliation. So, but don't worry, I have already checked with um, this CIDL collaborative group. The keyword here is that this person could be someone who is at an executive level. As long as the that sharing, the sharing is actually a part of how to say a part of a bigger picture of your syllabus. Let's say, for example, I'm just giving an example, a course called personal development, for example. And in this personal development, there is a small portion called self management. So why not? We have someone, I know through this affiliation as just an executive who is so successful in in advocating or in practicing self-management. Just like my case, I am inviting someone from New York this Wednesday, and he is an instructor, a lecturer. Without a doctorate, without professorship or associate professor and all that, but of course he has a master degree, and he has been teaching and he has been involved in teaching migrants, from many migrants who are like, going to America and wanted to have a piece of that, a big chunk of job opportunity there in medical sector of in America. So before they can really serve, sometimes they have qualification according to him. These migrants, they have qualification. Unfortunately, the qualification is not well. Not to say not being recognized, but probably they need to fine tune that knowledge or that practice of these migrants so that they can apply the knowledge in the context of the law of the country and all that. So he was preparing, he was preparing this um, migrant workers before, and now he himself joined the hospital. He stopped teaching, and now he is in the hospital, university hospital, doing some kind of and he just work in a lab and doing some kind of blood testing, and and when I look at it, it is a very enriching experience if he can share his experience talking about the risks, because I'm teaching risk management, and my context is to bring the idea of this human risk assessment, okay, human risk assessment, um, to my students, because when I teach my students, I don't know whether they're listening or not. Even though we keep on asking them, are you there? Are you listening? And all that. But I wanted them to be more engaged if I bring someone and show bloods to them, and talking about the context of in the US on how they look at no risk management in that context. So it must not necessarily to be a professor or associate professor or a PhD holder from from that university. It could be someone like that, which must be in line with what you want the student to know. So I just want them to know a simple, a simple, how to say, a simple perspectives of human risk assessment, assessment, or how they do this kind of risk assessment in their country. So I mean, it could be like that. All right, Cik Yam, thank you very much.
Okay, so that is actually a very insightful explanation, okay, from Mr. Oswald regarding global learning session. And if I may, there are a few keywords that I have noticed coming up from the explanation. So one of them is the meaningful learning experience itself. And I would say that this is one of the many things that we educators should focus on. I mean, I am a firm believer of a meaningful learning to be done when it comes to us teaching and learning. I mean, of course, when it comes to learning, it is beyond for the student just to pass the paper, just to get strings of A's. And personally speaking, I would say that I'm going to be more than happy, and it is like one of the utmost joy in my life to know that my students are able to practice what they have learned in class in their daily life. That is like one of the biggest joys, if I were to say. Okay. And yes, whatever it is when it comes to the activities, okay, the programs, okay, related to global learning, it must be in line with the core syllabus. Yes, we cannot run away from the learning outcome. So, and we have to always go back to the black and white, to the, I would say, the guiding, the guideline, okay, of the activities that we are doing, and the integration of global learning itself. Okay, and yes, I think it is very good that you mentioned something about not involving any assessment to be done, okay, by the speakers, no matter who they are, no matter where they are from. And yes, one thing that I also noticed from the previous slide that you have shared with us is something about professional networks, okay, from the lecturers themselves. So maybe by now, viewers, you can actually check your contact, your phone book probably, the contacts that you have before, probably people from all over the world. So maybe you can just think of what are the things that you can do probably to be integrated into your teaching and learning activities as well. And the examples that you have given, the example, something about the human risk management just now, I think that is actually very, very true. You know, I think for our students to be able to see on how the things that they are learning in the classroom can be applied in their real life, and how do actually people have done it before, it actually gives them the motivation, the excitement to actually learn even better, and of course for them to understand the things that they learn in class even better. Okay, so that is actually global learning. Okay, and some examples of the global learning session as well. And I think our viewers are also excited if maybe later on you can come up with maybe some other examples. Maybe I can think of a few at the moment, being an English lecturer. Maybe I can ask for your opinion later for maybe is that particular thing suitable for the concept of global learning itself? So, okay, Mr. Oswald, before we move on to the next question, I just would like to mention to the viewers today, if you have any question, you can definitely pop your question in the chat box in our YouTube live streaming now, and I will pass the questions to our speaker later on at the end of the webinar session. Okay, so Oswald, are you still okay over there?
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, okay, I can see from the excitement, okay, of the sharing that you have done just now. And actually, yeah, almost ending the first half of our session today. It's already 3:30, yeah? Okay, so actually, there's a lot of things that we have heard from you, and we are looking forward for some others, all right, for the next session. Question is, how students value global learning itself, and maybe you can share some feedback from the students who have had the experience before, Mr. Oswald.
Okay, thank you, Cik. Yeah. Actually, I forgot to show some of the examples, the visual examples. So, but actually, um, maybe I can show that examples and the feedback that the students are getting from that global learning session that we had previously. Am I still online? Am
Yes,
I?
you are.
Okay, sorry, because I have to keep on because just to make sure.
Yeah, no
All right.
problem.
Okay. Before I go on to that, I will just like to highlight again that global learning does not replace a lecturer's role in the class, but it supplements and adds value to students' learning experience. Okay, I just skip this one. Just skip this for a while. So I'll just go into what are the examples of global learning sessions conducted. Um, Suddenly, it popped up to my my mind just a few seconds ago when Cik mentioned about how students value this global learning. I got excited about this global learning, and I am not sure how it all started that I become a member of this global learning team under the Office of Vice Chancellor of Academic. But I have this experience becoming a collaborator This is a reverse example. This is a reverse example before I go to the real example, whereby I become a collaborator and I become, that so-called expert or industry expert from Malaysia to a university outside of Malaysia. So I got an invitation and appear to their students, for about 4 weeks, about 2 months, for about 2 months with them. But that is such a long session. So so don't worry, don't be. I mean, don't feel shocked. Like, huh, 2 months? What am I going to do? No. Um, and I had four, how to say, a virtual appearance with them, and that in that meeting I spent about 2 hours with them. Okay. uh, well, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when we get feedback from our own from our own students, but I feel I'm getting lesser feedback, during this ODL as compared to, the normal classes. Yeah, just like, come to think of it, I receive very, very little feedback from the students, like thanking and whatnot. That is not important, but sometimes when we get feedback from the students saying that, okay, I have learned this, and thank you for that, and thank you for this, um, the the value that, sorry to say lah, I'm not saying that I'm not valuing it, but the value that they are bringing to us is like, okay, I made it. Okay, I managed to, execute my academic duty, and all that. But getting a feedback from someone outside of UITM and from someone from outside of Malaysia, and talking about how great they were, how I mean, what what such a lucky batch they felt, having me to be their instructor, because they have never had this before, they have never experienced, they have never known this before. I was like, okay. It really triggered me. Okay, so that could be, but actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't share something extraordinary. I was like, because the subject was like introductory. I didn't share, like the technical aspect, the expert aspect of it. And these are students in an undergraduate level over there, and to them, it is something new, it is something great. And one of the feedback that they had was the content development, because I was using like Cik Yam know about it. I was using this open learning LMS, learning management system, which is developed by an Australian company and a public listed company. And I put all my materials there, I put all my teaching videos there, and my learning session with them, I recorded it. We were using Zoom, um, because like they really don't like using WebEx. Especially, I mean, even with my partners in the US, they really love using Zoom. Um, but I look younger in Zoom because of the so I recorded a Zoom session with them, and posted it and uploaded in that learning management system for them to watch. And one of the uh, apa ni, one of the responded a feedback from the students that really trigger my excitement, was that they said that this learning management system and this content development is really good. It's really wonderful, because they can keep on repeating it, they can keep on rewinding it, because I believe, when I got excited, I speak too fast in their Zoom session. And the mode of communication in that country is not so much into English language. So they are able to rewind, they're able to repeat and all that. So to them, it's wonderful. But none of my students say the same thing to me, even though we prepare wholeheartedly, this kind of content development and the content of our syllabus in this LMS, and we pay and using our own money, to subscribe to this learning manage this LMS, and our students didn't even come up with this kind of feedback. But I'm not saying that okay, I need this feedback from our students. No, no, not at all. As long as I am happy, as long as I am bringing something new to my own students, also in the context of education 5.0, it will be more than enough. Um, this is the feedback or the value, coming back to your question, Cik Yam, the value that the students in that the other part, the other part of the world, how they value our experience and our commitment in teaching them. So uh, that actually trigger me to think and to really um, wanted to do these global learning sessions with my students, because I believe my students will be having the same excitement as how the other students from the other country get that excitement from my sharing. So let us look at this example. So this is done. This was sorry, I think it's blocked. Okay, let me just pull it down. This was done in March 2019. I know, like a year before we had our first MCO. Fortunately enough, like I mentioned just now, Puan Nadia, our fellow of CIDL CG Global Learning, managed to bring in the speaker, from, I think it's from Germany to Malaysia. And you see how the students are engaged from this picture. You can see how the students are like kind of engaged in her sharing. So this is what we should be imagining in our global learning. But unfortunately, we are not able to have this. But as far as instructor is concerned, as a lecturer, we should be playing our part in making our students to be engaged. I believe everyone has these skills, like especially like Cik Yam mentioned just now. Um, we have these skills lah, to make the students to be engaged in that global learning, even though it is done virtually. And for your information, Cik Yam, by when I look at all the successful global learning sessions that we had in 2019, 2020, most of it actually originated or comes from um, Academy Pengajian Bahasa. So, so you have huge potential, of bringing in someone from maybe from like example just now, from Puerto Rico to to give some kind of um, experience on how English is taught there, and the how the uh, what do you call that? How the accent of a Puerto Rican instructor of English language over there, and bringing them to the perspective of Malaysia. And then you can after that you can ask the students to do some kind of a case study, and try to detect, and ask them on what are the differences, of the English. We call this a global language, if I'm mistaken, Cik Yam, um, to listen to their accent, and you can also bring someone from UK, a Scottish, for example, and let your students listen to the accent of a Scottish, teaching English and all that, and that could be very engaging, I think. Yeah, it's very interesting. So, as I said just now, most of the successful global learning session were actually from Akademi Pengajian Bahasa, but they had this with Faculty of Engineering, FKE, FSG. Um, these are the faculties that have been mentioned by Puan Nadia. I mean, frequently mentioned by Puan Nadia. So meaning to say, um, the syllabus, but in the context of engineering students or law students, like in the context of Pasir Gudang, engineering students, you expose them, but in the context of your syllabus, which is language and all that. And it could also be any other language from Arabic or Mandarin and all that from other part of the world to come over to your class. So let us see how the students value. As per Cik Yam question just now. Now it is amazing how much I have learned in such short period of time. Miss Juliana's talk on cultural competence had widened my horizon perspective on working together with other countries, with different cultures. Because we believe that we are not living in a vacuum. We are not living in a vacuum. For God's sake, we are interdepending with each other. So that's why we have to respect and we have to know um, um, other cultures so that we will be able to impart or to be able to get into what we are doing in the context of that particular culture. So let's say if our students are traveling outside, manage to go outside to work or to further studies. So these are the things that we can instill, that we can um, how to say instill with our students before they can even really go out and explore the world, this borderless world. Okay. Honestly, I have never been excited about Germany before, because this speaker is from German. Now that I have learned a couple of things about German and the culture there from Miss Julianne, I wanted to visit German. Anyway, listening to Miss Julianne talk the other day had sparked some memories of me traveling to other countries and how happy I was. I feel like I want more of the slot. An hour is not enough. Okay, I'll let you know how long and what is the maximum hour, maximum time period. If I forgot to mention that, please remind me. I feel that I have the responsibility to understand people. This is very interesting, right? Responsibility to understand people. So all this while we have been complacent, especially in this ODL, in this MCO, whereby it seems that we are like living in our own cave and we couldn't be bothered about the feeling of other people. All we know is to bash them in our social media or whatever, even without understanding that person expect, especially from different cultures, that I'm not only looking at the cultures that we have in Malaysia, but the cultures, the global culture that we have. That not all cultures I saw on medias. Now, this is so very interesting and how students value about it. Not all cultures I saw on medias may truly represent the country. Because, well, what they watch normally a sensationalized news about that particular country. It could happen to us also. Sensationalized issue about what happened in Malaysia. So it could be vice versa. Kind of scenario that this guy or this collaborative partner will be experiencing. Oh, I thought Malaysians are like this, or I thought Malaysians are like that. But when they have this session with us, wow, UiTM students are fantastic students. UiTM students are very, very out I'd say very enthusiastic in the class and asking questions, this and that, and well, we are actually bringing or sharing this kind of experience with our collaborators from outside of Malaysia at the same time. I feel excited to meet new people with a different culture other than my own culture. So something positive, as long as we have a positive value that we are able to add on to our learning session with our students. That could be more than enough. We have another one here. Now this is from the U.S. Embassy. This is from U.S. Embassy in Kuala Lumpur, talking about cybersecurity law and cybercrime, and the students are actually from the Faculty of Law in Shah Alam. And it was like like a few months, a few months before before we really hit on the effect of the pandemic. Of course, at this moment, we were like very well aware of the pandemic, but we have yet to decide about MCO, lockdown and all that, right? So they were they were very lucky to have this session face to face, and they can really, they can really engage like this. This is what we call a personalized engagement with our students that we want, that we wish to happen. And wow, I feel, I mean, it's amazing, American judicial system and the body that's specifically governing the cyber law, from the American perspective. And I say, I feel shocked to know about how vulnerable our cybersecurity system in Malaysia is. So, I mean, it is an eye opener to this group of law students, from the Faculty of Law, inshallah. And I feel like my knowledge in this particular field of law has expanded. And if I'm not mistaken, the students also, I mean, there were comments saying that they believe that their knowledge is like expired, you know, it's expired after, after they got to know about all this cyberbullying, cyber scams, and all that. Suddenly they felt that, oh, what we actually, what we knew about our cyber law is actually um, very little. In fact, they, I mean, someone out there will be able to easily manipulate our law to get into, this cyberbullying as or crimes or scams easily. So this is something that trigger the interest of this global learning session to be with our students. So April 2020, of course, this is already ODL, and the team had someone, Miss Elizabeth, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, from Poland. So let's just call her Miss L. And she talked about, she introduced, if you watch the video later on in the link, I mean in the website that I shared just now, she introduced her experience traveling around, and pinpoint the development of Poland and all that to the students. And actually the focus of her session, global learning session, was to manage differences in intercultural communication. So yeah, Cik Yam, this is on Academy Pengajian Bahasa also, right? And these are the feedback from the students. I feel more confident to communicate. See, little things that we have done, little things, little exposures that we have done with students, they I mean they get something, and they are even more confident in communicating with people from other parts of the world. So definitely in their resume, in their curriculum vitae, this aspect of engagement will appear. So ladies and gentlemen, that is something that I want to mention later on. Actually, we will provide you with this certificate, and this certificate will be signed by the head of Center for Innovative Delivery and Learning and Development of UiTM, together with the signatory of our fellow Puan Nadia. And of course, when they see this CIDL certificate, it is very nice actually, very nice looking, and people will value it more because it comes from the office of our Vice Chancellor of Academic and Internationalization. Okay, and they had a session with Bartek. The name is pronounced as Bartek. Um, and in this session is I mean was talking about becoming a culturally competent individuals, and embracing differences. Okay, and sometimes we don't expect, not to say we don't expect, sometimes um, unexpected things may happen with our collaborator. Like this one, this was from a collaborative partner in Australia. So she valued this session so much that he had this Kahoot session, you know, not the Kahoot session that is interesting, but his the way she valued, the way she valued this session by giving appreciation, a token of appreciation to the students who are able to answer her questions. And then maybe you can give this idea to your collaborators also, so that the students can get engaged. And they sent this present all the way from Australia. I mean, it's just like our marks, UITM marks, something like that, but it's from the Australian university, from the company, and send it all the way from Australia. And you know, as a student, to be receiving this kind of gift is, you know, something to them, right? And that is not the main point. The main focus here is our collaborative partner from the other part of the world is also appreciating or valuing that initiative of this global learning, and you know, up and until they are willing to do this with our students, which is something interesting. And we had someone from we had a session talking about the green economy. So I mean, this is just an example of what um, topics that you can bring into our students. You can bring in maybe something to do with sustainable development in building, for example, from faculty of suddenly I got sorry to my fellow friends in Pasir Gudang. Building is within within your faculty there, and probably you will be bringing someone who will be talking about uh, you know, green building, you know, and what is the perspective of that green, you know, aspect, or you know, input that they are doing in that particular country as compared to other. It's just a small portion of your syllabus in your building and all that, or it could be project management and all that. Okay, so these are feedback and how the students value. As to answer Cik Yam's question just now on how the students um, learn and feedback. From the feedback, I'll give you these slides, so that I will not read, because when I look at the time, it's almost 4. So so I skip on this, Cik Yam.
Sure, no problem.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of feedbacks, I would say, coming from, of course, the face-to-face sessions that were managed to be done by our friends in Shah Alam, I would say. And later on, there are also feedbacks from those sessions done online. And I would say that doesn't matter it is done face-to-face or online, the values that they got and the feedbacks are all very positive. Okay, I would like to actually comment a bit on I would say the word is excitement, you know, to have someone from probably the other side of the world, you know, and from any other part of the world, talking about that particular similar thing that the students are learning or have been exposed before. To have that someone else talking about the same thing actually give a different vibe, I would say, you know, and this actually reminds me of the excitement that I once had when I was in school. You know, there are like exchange teacher program stuff, and there are teachers from US. Actually, the thing that the teachers were teaching was actually exactly the same like what my original teacher was teaching. Probably something about grammar or subject verb agreement. But then again, the excitement itself to have someone else who we never met before, and the fact that they are coming from probably the original country that speak English, you know, it makes us more motivated, and to have that interest, it actually boosts the motivation for the students to learn even more. Okay, and I like it when you said something about the students' feedback when it comes to the cybersecurity law or something. Actually, it's good for us to actually open up our view, you know, our horizon, our perspective beyond the local perspective only. And I would like to actually say something about, being a jago kampung when you actually think that you know everything in Malaysia. Yes, I'm an expert about everything, but once you actually open your perspective to the other parts of the world, actually, we know very little about that particular thing. So I would say that global learning is actually one of the best things for us to do to actually open up our perspective. And this actually give, I would say, not to say facelift, but actually it elevate, the quality of the teaching and learning itself. And yes, I think when you were explaining this now, something about the examples coming from the Academy of Language Studies itself, okay, there are maybe just ideas popping up. And I think maybe later on, maybe I can also ask for your opinion regarding the ideas that I have had, and probably some ideas that I have regarding to the other faculties that we have here. Not only in Pasir Gudang, we have all the engineering faculties, and then we also have our faculties over there in Segamat. And I think that's ideas are popping, but later on, let's take a look on how we actually can do it, and not actually, short sneery doing things as we want, but actually not following the right guideline of doing global learning. So back to you, Mr. Oswald. How they do global learning?
Thank you, Shayam. I totally agree with you when you said that, the excitement of knowing, when what we teach in the class is actually being taught somewhere out there, and knowing that, coming from that person is something different. So this is what we want our student to be experiencing. So, but before I move on, I have to stress once more that this global learning, the focus here is not us being an expert. So we have to get rid of that, and we have to we have to mellow down lah. Even though we know that we are that expert, the thing that we want to focus here is on the perspective of the students. Okay, the perspective of the students. What do you think the students wants? What do you think the students need? And what do you think, the something that can motivate, something that can excite the students in the class? So one of the many ways, I'm not saying that this is the only way lah. One of the many ways is doing this global learning, and the perspective here again is on the students, the experiential learning on the part of the students, and not to think ourselves that why must I do this because I'm already the expert in this area, and all that. So no doubt, nobody's denying that fact, but we want the students to experience something in addition to your expertise, in addition to your specialization, or your technical expert and all that. So in addition to that, yeah. So thank you for highlighting that, Cik Yam. All right, so quite quite a lot to mention actually. So how do we do it? All right, so let us plan. First we have to plan. Actually, I should be coming to you before we start this semester, but never mind. We can still plan. We can still come out with a very good execution. Anyway, we are only in week 5. It is advisable to have this global learning session in week 5 onwards. We cannot have it like in week 1, week 2, or week 3. Um, as that early, like even like my case, I've just discussed this with my students. In this phase, in this planning phase, I will have to discuss with my students whether they are interested or not. Are you interested to have someone from New York, from the States, to come over to your class virtually and to talk about this? And then I said, most probably, I'm not really sure, lah, I'm not really sure, but most probably whatever he mentioned could be the same thing that I have already mentioned in the class. But it could be something additional. But I just want you to have this kind of perspective from this person. Are you interested or not? So, um, well, some students will ask, sir, are we going to have additional assessment for that? So sorry. This is quite typical of our students. Um, they are so worried because well, after we have sometimes we conduct webinars, we conduct seminars, and after that we will be giving them tasks to 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 just to get their feet on and all that. So I told them I just want to see your engagement with them, with this guy. I just want to see your engagement. I want to see you talk to them. I want to see you to switch on your video. Okay, please please remember. I said, remind yourself on this date. Make sure you have enough data, or I mean a good coverage for you to um, switch on your video. But because in my class I always advise them, in order for you to save your data, I mean there is no need to switch on your video. Okay, especially if you are using WebEx. WebEx is very consuming, if I'm not mistaken. The session that we will be having with our collaborator outside will be Zoom, for example. So Zoom is very less data consuming, if I'm mistaken, the least lah. But unfortunately, I don't have an account with Zoom, so I couldn't record that. So I requested the other party to have it through Google, Google Meet. And for your information, they as I said just now, they really prefer to have Zoom session. I don't know why. Could be like they are used to it already actually. So this is the planning stage. Okay. Um, well, of course, we don't want this as an instruction from the top. Like say, okay, I am the boss, and I ask, and I want to make sure each and every one of this faculty member to be doing this. It can be done like that, So it will be like this top down approach, where I know the initiative will come from the institution, from the faculty. If possible, try to have something like this, a bottom up. So this is a planning stage, lah. Whether you want to have it in at a faculty level kind of things, which is like compulsory, or you can do a bottom up kind of approach. But we just do things to satisfy the students, because they are, and the parents, and they are our stakeholders, and to make them happy and all that. So normally we will not do something that will make us feel sad and disappointed, for stress and depressed and all that. So in your planning stage, make sure we discuss with I think in our context will be the uh, lecturer in charge, or the RP, resource person, and of course with the PTJ. As far as Johor is concerned, we are encouraged to. We are encouraged to do this, but don't touch on the assessment aspect, and don't let this collaborator to do the assessment on our behalf. No, and don't let our session to be replaced by their session. No, it must be a supplementary one, added value and added experience from the other person. Then that should be okay. Okay, so in this planning stage, the first thing that we need to do, let's do it right. Prepare the working paper, and I have a template for that. So I'll give you everything. No, Ayla, the team will give everything. But in the context of Johor, because we are a little bit special, um, I'll give you the template, and the template of invitation letter, which must be signed by your KPP. Um, and additional one that we have to include is on filling up the form called TAPA, because this will involve the students, and it is a good one lah. I believe it is a good one, for us to fill up the form, the green, the green color form. And we are not asking for budget. Okay, sorry to mention that we are not asking for budget. It is a zero budget kind of things. So you have to be very polite and accommodative and ethical lah, in telling our collaborators outside there. Ask them nicely. Tell them that this is an initiative. It could be like a win-win kind of situation, a kind of initiative. But unfortunately, we are not able to provide monetary rewards or monetary, payment you as a return. So we have to be very how to say, we have to be very polite like in saying that, okay, and it is not um it is not involving monetary reward on, I mean, from our part. It is a zero cost. So please bear in mind on that. So all right, so you prepare the working paper. Okay, so sorry, you have to discuss. You have to discuss with the LIC or resource person, and with a PTJ, could be KPP. Um, and then what? And then prepare the working paper. Okay, and if it is allowed, then we will start giving out the invitation letter, and the invitation letter must be, you know, following our procedure. So it must come from our PTJ lah. But giving out a simple email notification invitation, you know, before this formal one is advisable, okay, to our to be given to our collaborator from out from I mean our partner lah, from outside of Malaysia, yang the one that I mentioned earlier on. Um, and then fill up the green form, the TAPA form, because it involves students, you know. Um, the thing here is to make sure that we are not disturbing the, you know, the academic arrangement as far as the timetable is concerned and all that. So if we have all this in place, then we are not going to be worried about whether we are doing something wrong or something bad and all that, because we have you know, we have done all this to get the approval from our management. So please do it properly. Um, try to avoid from you know, like shot sendiri, you know, because I'm afraid that it will, you know, backfire us if, let's say, so the person that we invited, you know, say something which is, you know, which is out of the norm of our university and all that. So you have to be very careful on that also. Okay. Um, when we share this later on, I just want to advise you all, when we share this information, try to just share it within our university, because it is copyrighted and it is meant for UITM. So if like other polytechnic or other university wanted to apply this concept, please don't give this material, but to contact directly the office of CIDL itself. So I am not in a position of giving this to other outside of UITM system. So okay, I've already mentioned about this. Okay, just now actually. So in that planning process, these are the things that you need to do. I have explained a bit just now. Okay, let us look at the syllabus. Okay, let's say for example, the syllabus, just like the syllabus. This is an example, yeah. Um, please, yeah, this is a real syllabus. So please, let's say, take care of the private, the confidentiality of the syllabus, yeah. So the circle aspect of it could be something that you can use, or that you can do for your global learning, you know. Let's say, for example, this one is talking about international environmental law. So we can ask someone to talk about one of these units, could be the types of international environmental law. It mentioned here, you know, about United Nations. So what a wonderful way, or what a wonderful unit it is for us to do global learning. You know, how if this input, okay, the international environmental law, it actually comes from someone, you know, from the UN, from the office of UN and all that. So it can be something interesting, you know, the role of non-governmental organization at international level. It is there in the syllabus anyway. It is there in the syllabus. So it will be even more wonderful if we can bring someone from outside, for international and a global aspect, to talk about this perspective, you know. And another aspect of it, this is an example, not two, say either, you know, this or this. Jangan banyak sangat lah. jangan banyak sangat, because it will defeat the purpose of you, you know, being the lecturer. Nanti dia macam, wah, semua dia globalkan. in the end, the lecturer himself or herself tak mengajar langsung. Tak mau macam tu ya, because this one, as I said, it is a supplementary one. You can talk about the environmental aspect assessment, town and country planning, environmental management system, um, uh, in your class to be the global learning unit. So a small portion of it, it could be one unit here, okay, only one unit of it. So study your syllabus, and definitely there will be something. Definitely there will. I believe there will be something in your syllabus that you can have this global learning session, especially when your syllabus is talking about effective assessment. The A kan kita tak ada semua C semua kan. If I'm not mistaken, most of the syllabus in UiTM we have cognitive, we have psychomotor, and we have affective assessment. And please look on it. Which aspect of the syllabus is actually being assessed under this affective assessment? And we can bring the unit, that unit or that topic, not the assessment, yeah, but that topic that is leading to the assessment anyway, but the topic to be in our global learning session with someone else, in addition to our normal class and in addition to our normal syllabus. Okay, and of course you have to know their background, the engagement level, and I mean the students' aspect of it. So that's why I told you just now that we have to ask the students first whether they are into it or not. I have this experience with my students. I'm going to have this on Wednesday. Next week, or I mean this coming Wednesday. I told them to ask questions. That engagement in this aspect is for you to ask questions. Well, typically our students are, not asking questions even in our live session with them, streaming with them, even though the streaming is like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, with them, they hardly ask questions when actually there are so many questions to be asked. So I told them, you have to ask questions with these collaborators, with that person. I mean, ask question to that person with regard to anything about this topic, because I gave them the topic already. Yeah. And the students, one of the student, unmute himself and said, "Sir, we have not been asking you questions. How do you expect us to ask questions with this someone?" So I was like, wow, that is very true. But let's see. I want to see whether they are able to do that or not when someone else is coming out from the US, and I bet they will ask questions, because I know this guy from the pitching session that I had with him. He can really engage the students. So I want to learn from him. As I said just now, this guy, even though he has no that professorship or not PhD and all that, he was with this institute, with this university, and that university is preparing migrants, and how can a straight looking guy with without the skills of engaging the students be able to teach these migrants to open up their mind and to enable them to talk and all that. So definitely there must be some kind of skills that he had that will open up the mind of my students. I want to see that. I'm very curious to see that, and I strongly believe he is able to open up the mind of my students to ask questions. So I told the students, I challenge you. Why don't you just come to that session? You just bring yourself to that session as if you are like in front of me, and forget about me. I'm not going to judge you. So kadang-kadang student takut kan when the lecturer is there. But I told them, I'm not going to be there to judge you. Just be there and talk to this guy and listen to him and all that. So that will be your planning stage. So duration, you set the duration, date, time, and please take note of the difference of the time zone. Like my case, I said I wanted to have no, I wanted to have that meeting with you tomorrow. So his tomorrow is actually today, because because it's like in the US it's like so I said tomorrow. Unfortunately, that tomorrow is actually today. So that's why so I'm looking at the time, because he is going to call me at any time. Hopefully after our session. Hopefully, yeah. which is going to end soon, right? Cik Yam at 4:30. So the next how to do it just now is to have it on that day itself. So if you realize, if you notice, I've already mentioned about one duty that you have to make, which is the pitching aspect, and then you have to do some kind of Zoom meeting with your collaborators and pitch your idea to them. You know, sometimes to us this idea is very easy, you know, like just like, okay, I just want to come, I just want to invite you to come to my class and talk to my class, blah blah blah. But my experience with this with a collaborator, he really wanted to know and keep on, you know, like asking, what about this, what shall I do, what you know, I mean, something like that. So um, I am I am advising myself, try not to assume that they know what is this global learning all about. So that's why we have to make a session with them. We have to make an effort to meet them over Zoom and pitch the idea. Okay, pitch the idea. And then I want to touch on one issue that Cik Yam mentioned just now about the collaborative and networking. Please go to your LinkedIn, you know, and have this collaboration and networking through LinkedIn. So you will never know who are actually in your, you know, who are actually in that you know, network in this LinkedIn. It could be a friend of a friend, and say, hey, Oswald is looking for someone to appear in his global learning session. So well, and then he's teaching risk management. So why don't we just like, you know, appear in his class, in his global learning class? Who knows? Because I got this guy, sorry, jahatnya saya kan, I got this guy, I got this collaborator from this LinkedIn also, you know, and it so happened that he is very good. When I look at his background, I was like, wow, fantastic. This guy is you know, is very interesting, to be invited as my collaborative partner in my global learning session. So this is the implementation, so the virtual or online learning. So please make sure that it has to be virtual. So we have no way of bringing up the student physically to this country, I mean to that country, but it has to be virtual and almost zero cost. The third phase is actually will be done later. Um, which is to review and to improve. But this is just for information. I'm not going into details on it because I want to get questions from you actually. But it seems that I talk a lot. Sorry, I'm so sorry for that. Um, we have these components of feedback that we designed to just to do some kind of a simple measurement, subjective measurement on the students' engagement or learning experience. We will provide you with that. Okay, so these are the phases that I have touched on, which is okay. If you look at it, the planning phase, the implementation phase, and the review phase. So please involve me in your planning phase and in your implementation phase also. Okay, so what is our duty here as a team, in a team of CIDL Global Learning? Actually, this is a very small team, you know, because only a few of us, and I am a newly included in that team just to assist them. What we will do here is to give to provide you with all the materials, to provide you with all the steps, like what I have mentioned here earlier on, and we will provide you with the feedback form, and that feedback form will straight away link that to the e-certificate for the students, and from our part, we will be giving a letter of appreciation to you as the designer, the organizer of this global learning session, the initiator of it in your faculty or in your department and all that. So you will get one from CIDL, and the collaborator, okay, the collaborator, our partner will get one also, certificate and letter of appreciation from CIDL. But by all means, if you feel that you wanted to come up with a letter of appreciation from PT, I mean, from your faculty, from KPP or whatever, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, by all means, you can do that. But this is what we provide: certificate for you, certificate for the students, and that is the most important thing, lah. The certificate for the students, because we want some kind of mark. We want some kind of, you know, indicator that they have gone through a global learning session, and what it is a wonderful thing for them to bring to their and to show to their potential employer later on, and to say that we have embarked and involved in education 5.0 at UITM. So Cik Yam, so you have like, wow, I talk a lot. So sorry for that. I really talk a lot. So I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Okay, Cik Yam, over to you.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I think the last part just now, the one part that Mr. Oswald mentioned just now, something about on how to make things work. And I think I can relate this to the thing that I have mentioned earlier during this webinar. Maybe the fact that we do not know how to do it make it a bit demotivating for us to get into this global learning. But now I think we have seen on how it can be done and the steps that we have to know in the process of doing it. Okay, so I am somehow excited actually, and like what I said just now, a lot of ideas have popped up in my mind, and probably that can be translated into a real global learning session later. Okay, so I think I have no more questions so far, but maybe I can ask a bit of a question, Mr. Oswald, because I think from the examples just now, I'm not sure if the idea that I have in mind is actually suitable for the implementation of the global learning activity. Okay, so you were saying something about we can actually have someone as a collaborator. It doesn't matter it does not mean that he has to be a professor, a PhD holder or something, as long as he is an expert in that particular area and he has or she has the experience of doing things which is related to the learning outcomes as well. Okay, does it mean that this particular individual must be serving not in Malaysia? Maksudnya he or she must be in any other part of the world other than Malaysia to be a suitable candidate for to be a collaborator for global learning. So
Thank you, Cik Yam.
mm.
I can answer yes and I can answer no.
Oh,
If
okay.
you if you want someone, like say for example, this someone is working with an international company, but international company, the company belongs to belongs to a company in US, for example. And of course the perspective of the person working in the international company as compared to a local company might be different, right?
Mhm.
With all the culture and exposure and all that from that company. Unfortunately, he is in Malaysia and he's Malaysian and working in Malaysia, for example. So the answer is no for global learning. So don't be sad, don't be sad, don't be sad. Yes for collaborative teaching.
Okay, all right.
So if you click, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my fellow colleagues, if you click on CIDL, collaborative group, there are 17, right? So one of it is collaborative teaching. So I think actually I want to talk more about collaborative teaching, but of course that is not in line with global learning.
Mhm.
But from the way I see it, and I have been advised to tell this to you also, if you have done this global learning, please come back to me because we can tune that to be included in collaborative teaching pula.
Okay,
We
all
want
right.
this KPI. We want this KPI, dear friends, dear colleagues. Because we came out with this idea of education 5.0 at UITM when others are still at 4.0, and of course we have to champion it with our KPI. So you can double it up and make it as collaborative teaching. Okay, so collaborative teaching is not confined to someone from outside of Malaysia and not bringing that perspective outside of Malaysia into Malaysian scenario. It could be, it could be even our colleagues from other universities and all that. It's for collaborative teaching, but not for collaborative. Sorry, not for global learning. Global learning, it should be like that, because we want to we want to make sure that the global aspect of it. Unless if the the guy, the collaborator, working in Malaysia, but he is an American. Like say for example, he is serving U.S. embassy, but he's in Malaysia. So of course the perspective that he's bringing in is the perspective from his country of origin. That can be done. Yeah, thank you for that. But while saying this, I believe all of you will be able to see the frequently asked questions here. Okay. So I mean it's like killing two birds with one stone lah kan. Saya menjawab soalan, at the same time you can also get to understand some of the questions that are frequently asked by our friends. Yeah. Thank you, Cik Am.
Okay, so thank you very much for that response. And I think, yeah, the FAQs is actually very, very good. Okay, so because I think, for example, number one, what if I do not know anyone from overseas who are global players or industrial practitioners and experts? So this is where social media platforms or websites or online search for speakers will come into play. And don't worry, I think because we ourselves, we have our own linkages with our friends, and maybe our friends know someone, who can be the eligible collaborator for the global learning. Why not? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So number two, does it have to be an international speaker? Yes. And I think this is actually very much related to maybe some of the questions that have already popped up in our viewers' mind. Okay. So I think we are almost and towards the end of our session today, like 5 minutes more. Okay.
Okay,
So
Cik Yam, someone asked me,
yeah.
um, uh, are we helping them in getting these networks or I mean speakers from outside of Malaysia? Well, actually, we can start off with what with our MOU. I remember, I think not long time ago, I think a few weeks ago, Dr. Farida, our liaison for OIA or DIA, I mentioned about a few MOU, and this the institutions that we have this MOU with are actually listed there. So it is very easy, just like my cousin. I'm just giving an example lah. Sometimes the excitement tu kan we got a very positive feedback. I just say hi to someone from this university in Philippines, and because I got to know that that university is in the MOU list of our Faculty of Education, so which is related to you, Cik Yam, Faculty of Education. So I saw their university there, and when I look at the university background, they also have business faculty. So I just say hi and just like, and then you put in you put in that intention of like inviting them, and to my surprise they are very interested. It's just that I couldn't accommodate I couldn't accommodate that many from that university alone in my class. I can just like have one session with them just to make sure lah that my report is nice, just not to have like someone from one particular university. But as I said just now, it is something that sometimes unexpected, respond. You can always contact your friends who are studying now overseas and ask them, do you have any friends? And through that words of mouth with this friend of yours who are Malaysian, and from him to that person, it could sweeten, the talk, and you will definitely will get one. So there are so many ways lah. There are so many ways in getting that what do you call that connection with them. Yeah, you are true. You are very true, Cik Yam. So I'll just go to the next page. Yeah, 50 minutes at most. 40 minutes to 50 minutes. But if you watch the video later on, the video sharing of the previous session, you will find out that they are like 1 hour plus and all that. But by all means, when you pitch your idea with the collaborator, please always tell them, and please make sure that you tell them that it is within 40 to 50 minutes. If they want to expand it later on, never mind. But we are bringing them for free, So I mean, it is not nice for us to engage them. Okay, so you are going to be here for 2 hours, then for free, tak boleh lah kan. And psychologically, actually, how long will our student be engaged or be glued with our speakers? Kan? So 40 to 50 minutes is reasonable enough lah. I it's quite sensitive to mention the last one because what is it for me? What is it for me? What is it for me? 'Cause, uh, some lecturers will ask, what will I get? This is a sad thing to mention because I'm not in the position of saying that if you do this, your ATP you will get good marks. That sometimes it will come with a disappointing kind of points that or score or whatever that you get. So please don't quote me for this, but whatever it is, you can put this in your ATP, my ATP. There's one particular section there where you can put it in your teaching collaboration or bukan N, or you can put it in the student development activity. If it is still lacking, like if in your reporting, if it is still lacking in that area, you put it there, or in accolades. Okay, you can um, if I'm not mistaken, this one is like something to do with teaching innovation, innovation in teaching or something like that. So you can put this as your in your ATP. But of course, this, as I said just now, this is not the main reason for us to do. But of course, we are quite concerned about whether it is being recognized or not as far as the ATP is concerned. So I just want to mention because it is a frequently asked question as well. Thank you, Chair. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oswald. So I will say that we have had a 2-hour session of webinar. Maybe a bit of my part as well, asking questions and probably giving some piece of my mind, regarding the things that we are actually looking at today. So hopefully now, viewers, you are clearer, about the concept of global learning and how do we get to make it work. Okay, so don't worry. If you have any questions, you can definitely look for the right person for this particular thing. Okay, so in UiTM Johor, I think inshallah you will know who Mr. Oswald is, and you definitely will be able to get in touch with him. And I bet that Mr. Oswald, is more than happy to assist you in all the stages mentioned just now, from the planning, the implementation, and the others as well. Okay, so I think it is worth mentioning that global learning is one of the things that we can make work. When it comes to ODL nowadays, I know that we cannot even actually take our students even beyond the what I'm saying, the border of the state. We cannot even take them across the state even, let alone being beyond the limit of international borders. Okay, but then again, because of the technology, we can actually bring the global learning and experience into the comfort and convenience of our own places. So, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, I thank you very much for your participation and for your interest in joining us today in the webinar for global learning. And hopefully, the inputs that we have shared just now, Mr. Oswald actually presented to us, are impactful, and inshallah will be meaningful for us. Okay, not only as educators, but also like what Mr. Oswald say, as the catalyst, okay, for the improvement in elevating the experience of learning our students. Okay, so again, thank you very much, Mr. Oswald, for that particular session. Okay, don't worry, you said that you talk a lot, but don't worry. With that, we are clearer about the global learning. Okay,
Can,
so
can, I-
ladies and
can I have
gentlemen,
a few seconds?
yeah, sorry.
Can I have a few seconds?
Yeah,
Last
sure,
word.
sure.
This is totally last. Call for action. Call for action. So my call for action, you just can call me 019-841-4520. But don't worry, you can always email me because it is easier for you to email me so that I can straight away send all the materials and the steps in the email. So please email me if you are interested. Even if you are not interested, even if you're not interested, please email me so that I can send you the materials. I cannot share the materials here as it is now because, as I said, it is copyrighted. So I'm afraid that I
Mhm.
cannot control that IP if I just share everything here. It could be like public to public. So please email me and say that collaborative learning, global learning. Mr. Oswald, I want to know more about this. I can
Yeah.
give you all the assessment. You can find me easily in the email. Just write my name, Oswald. You will find my email. Thank you very much. Call for
Yes,
action.
definitely. Okay. So thank you again, Mr. Oswald, and thank you again, viewers, for your time and participation. So before we end our session today, I would like to also inform you that there's actually another session by our own fellow of global learning, Puan Nadia Datuk Haji Tan Tawi Jauhari, and another member of Collaborative Group Global Learning, Dr. Siti Hafsha Idris, this 30th of April, Friday, 3 to 4 p.m. Okay, so maybe I can say that UiTM Johor has taken a step forward by actually having this session even before the fellow do it. Okay, so again, before we end the session, I would like to thank my fellow friends who are actually behind me in doing this, in making this webinar possible. Thank you to Encik Nur Hisham Jenal, the coordinator for e-learning unit in UiTM Serangan Johor Campus Pasudang, and also technologist Dr. Muhammad Farid bin Misnan, coordinator for the industrial linkages and community unit of UiTM Serangan Johor Campus Pasudang. So together we make it work. Let's start to do something and let's go global. So with that, I thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.